What's good, everybody? What's good? I want to welcome you back to Nix Deli. My name is Shia. I am the host. I am the proprietor of Nix Deli. I am the owner of Nix Deli. And if you're here visiting for the first time, do me a favor before you even start. Hit that like button. Do me a favor, click that subscribe. Even hit the notification bell. I'm dropping new videos consistently now. So keep in mind, anytime I go live, anytime I drop a new video, you want to be on point in receiving that so you can see what we got to say. Thank you for joining the KD community. Also, if you're here for the first time, I want to welcome you to Nix Deli, baby. This is how Nix Deli works. There's 4 items on the menu. The first item on the menu is the bacon, egg, and cheese. Best sandwich in New York. Okay? So the bacon, egg, and cheese got those 3 excellent components that make that sandwich phenomenal. Here at Nix Deli, we look at the 3 players whose contribution during this game made their performance phenomenal and help us get this win. So we're gonna look at who's the bacon, egg, and cheese of the game today. Next on the menu is what we call the dollar slice. Everybody knows that New York pizza is the best pizza in the world. I said it. So we're gonna look at who's the dollar slice. Who is that stabilizing factor that helped us secure this victory? The next item on the menu is the chopped cheese. Now the chopped cheese is relatively new to that New York menu, but that thing be busting. So we're gonna look at who's the chopped cheese of the game. And also, you can't have the chopped cheese. You can't have the dollar slice. You can't have that bacon, egg, and cheese if you ain't got nothing to wash that thing down with. And we call that here in Nix Deli, the quarter water of the game. So we're gonna look at who's the quarter water of the game. Who was a contributor during the quarter or a little bit in different quarters throughout the game that really put us over the top and help us lock up this victory. All right. We're going to look at the last 3 items here in Nix Deli that we're going to discuss. The last but least talked about item on the menu is what we call the glizzy of the game. Now the glizzy of the game, the dirty water dog of the game, will go to somebody or something that either talks too much or says something that's a little bit out of pocket. And you know what? You don't want to be overtly rude, but you got to do something to shut them up. And what else better to do than give them the glizzy of the game? So we're going to award somebody the glizzy of the game today. And then we're going to look at who has the nah son nah, you wildin' moment of the game. And that's for somebody that makes you look at the screen sideways and be like, nah son nah, you wildin'.
You wildin'.
All right. We're going to wrap this thing up with my parting thoughts, and then we're going to wrap up Nix Deli and let you get back to your football. Okay. My 49ers don't play until next week. So this is why I'm doing the video and trying to distract y'all from what y'all watching, because none of what y'all watching means nothing. It's all about them Niners. Okay. I know where I'm at. I know I'm in New York. Long story. But let's get into it. So last night we secured a victory against the Memphis Grizzlies. Okay. If there's anything that reeked of a trap game, it was this. You had everybody that mattered on the Memphis Grizzlies injured and out. So clearly, anybody taking the floor in a New York Knicks uniform was looking at everybody else on the floor like barbecue chicken. And they went out there like they're going to show up late for lunch. There was no energy. There was no sense of urgency. The Knicks got out to a sloppy start. And I was sitting there throwing all types of socks and objects that didn't break my TV at the television. It was a tough watch. It was a tough watch to the point that I was turning away from it and then turning back because I'm like, this is ridiculous. In a game like that, you can clearly see that Jalen Brunson is the engine. He is the one he's the tone setter. Jalen Brunson usually to start out a game, he's attacking the basket. He's having the other team on their heels. And you know this is supposed to come from your point guard, but this is also supposed to come from your star. And because Jalen Brunson was out last night, I was hoping to see that from Julius. I was hoping to have Julius set the tone for the rest of the team, that we can't take this game lightly, that we have to set the tone and we have to let this team know that they have no shot. And I know if he would have came out and he would have been hogging the ball, we would have been talking about, selfish Julius and passed the ball around. So I don't really know what the right answer is. So I'm only going to partially put some of that responsibility on Julius, because when he does try to do that, when he does it, it looks selfish. Okay. but I really wanted it to be a situation where he got a couple of and ones. He went to the basket. He's not settling for 3-pointers. He's getting some of those young boys in foul trouble. He's letting them feel him in the paint. Pause. Okay? But he's really letting them, foul, get early fouls, bullying them. Let them know, like, listen, one half of the bully boys ain't here, but the other half is here. Okay? And we really didn't see that. And that resulted in a sloppy start, leaving Memphis, those G League players in the game. Shout out to them because they kept it close, but also giving them confidence. Okay? But with that being said, let's look at who's the bacon of the game for the New York Knicks. And the bacon of the game got to go to Deuce McBride. Props to Deuce McBride. He had a career high 19 points last night. He had 6 assists. Couple of points that just stand out about Deuce, man. First and foremost, when anything such as a trade happening and players that you love being shipped out, it hurts, but it provides an opportunity for people who are waiting in line, the people who was waiting in the queue, the people who were sitting in back in silent frustration, but the only thing that they had to hold on to is to continue to work. All right. The beauty, the joy, the pride is in the work. Tom Thibodeau has a quote that directly alludes to that. And you just have to wait for your time. And when your time comes, you have to be ready. And Deuce McBride is showing that he's ready. He's showing more poise. He's showing more comfort with every passing game that he gets minutes. I love his variation in speed. Once he has the ball, like he's pushing it. He's pushing the basketball. Or he's on the receiving end of leaking out and then getting good, easy drives to the basket. And that's what you love to see. But something else that also is evident is that he's letting that thing fly. He's putting up 3-pointers, whether it's coming off of curls, whether it's the spot up 3, the corner, the wing, top of the key. He's letting that thing fly. Couple of things that I would love to see a little bit more, and I know he's working on it every day, is a little bit of a tighter handle. Some opposing players are testing him. So they're testing his handle. So they're playing up on him. They're giving him a little bit of pressure further outside of the 3-point line as he's bringing the ball up. And I noticed he's a little bit erratic with that. So the handle could be a little bit more tight. But I did also see last night a little bit of variation in getting to the basket. So he's not necessarily parked outside of the 3-point line. He's taking a couple of dribbles inside of the 3-point line, driving to the basket. He's cutting. And that's what you want to see from the point guard. But I absolutely love seeing this new Deuce play, knowing he's not going to get pulled. Play knowing that, a slight misstep or misread is going to get him yanked from the game. He's allowed to play through his mistakes. We have no choice. We need him. And he's showing up and he's delivering. And he did so last night to the tune of a career high 19 points and 6 assists. So I want to give you an opportunity to give a round of applause for Deuce McBride, our bacon of the bacon, egg, and cheese today here in Nix Deli. Next up, who's the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese? Now the egg, I'm going to give that to OG Anunoby today. So shout out, round of applause to OG Anunoby. With every passing game, you see the increase in his comfort level. He's active. His defense is undeniable in terms of his presence and what he brings to our starting lineup and to the game that he plays. All right. I love the fact that he's a worker. He's a worker, and these are terms that we've seen Tom Thibodeau incorporate into the culture here in the New York Knicks organization. He's an absolute worker. His defensive awareness is at a 99 if we talking in terms of the video game, he's just unrelenting. He's unrelenting. He was gassed a little bit last night, and it's so funny. There was a point in the game where I was looking, and you could clearly see he was winded. And then they flashed over to Ihart, and you can see Ihart was winded. And I think sometimes we don't realize how long they play in the game. And I don't know if it was a matter of, I even lost time during that game. So I don't know if Thibs let them run longer than expected, but both of them were winded by the time the timeout came, and you were able to see it through the screen on the television. But even with that, there was a point in which I noticed that, and then somebody tried to drive on him and he blocked their shot. And that's what you need. Like that's what wins. That's when you know he's coming from a championship level organization. And although he couldn't really contribute to the level that he wanted to in the championship series, he helped them get there, during that season. And he learned from the best behind Kawhi, and to have that in our starting lineup from the small forward position is not putting down anybody else. It's just showing it's a noticeable difference at the small forward position with that being incorporated into the recipe. So I really want to take this opportunity to give the egg of the game to OG Anunoby. 18 points and 4 blocks. This is from your small forward in your starting lineup for the New York Knicks organization, historically known as a defensive organization. And with that, we're phenomenally grateful to have. So shout out to OG Anunoby, the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese today. Now, who is the cheese of the game? And this, I was kind of back and forth in terms of who I give it to, but not really. The cheese of the game goes to our guy, Isaiah Hartenstein, Red Bull. Shout out to the Red Bull, Isaiah Hartenstein. What more can you say? Something else that I truly appreciate is Clyde Frazier said it throughout the game. He said, I hear that after every game, Isaiah calls Mitch and he discusses the game. And that's something that I was excited to hear. And I'm glad he said it on the broadcast because it really, it's really saddening to see some Knicks fans, see the performances that Isaiah Hartenstein is putting up, seeing his activity and how he's really stepped in and been able to fill the void that we know Mitchell Robinson leaves. But then they take it a step further by saying we don't need Mitchell Robinson. Why don't we trade him to get another pick? And you don't see the value of having both of these players on the team. 2 players who could clearly start on any other team on the same team. And you don't see the value of that to our organization in terms of depth. You don't see the value of how that'll contribute the further we make a run into the playoffs to be able to have a security blanket on the second unit for if someone on the first unit goes down, or to be able to have that security blanket of a high level performing quality starter in the case our backup goes down, who can push and continue to play long minutes. You don't see the value of that. You don't see the contribution to our depth in that. Those very same people will talk about the bench and the fact that we don't have depth on the bench. But you're trying to trade somebody that anchors the starting unit that will help provide our depth on the bench. You're trying to get rid of that person. And this is how we know you don't look at the big picture. Ihart's success does not put down Mitch's contribution. Mitch got us here. And it's the same people that talk about, I'm going to poo-poo OG Anunoby because we don't have RJ. It's not about that. You got to be present in who we are, what we're building, and the fact that the front office has this. Appreciate this man for what he's doing now without putting down somebody else. And Ihart for the second game in as many as 10 days had a game where he put 20 rebounds on the board, 12 points, 4 blocks, 2 steals. Ihart is going crazy this new 2024 year. Okay? Since the calendar turned to 2024, Ihart has been amongst the leaders in rebounding, block shots, steals, and plus and minus in the NBA. And for that, we're truly, truly hyped about. We're appreciative of his development. Many of us talk about, we didn't know this is what he brought. Yeah, we didn't know, they did. And nobody else in the NBA knew. But Leon Rose had the foresight to be like, that is one of the key underestimated signings. Some people talked about that being like a key steal of the offseason. And right now, if you really think about it, Leon really has a couple of moves in which he's winning. Ihart was one of them. Josh Hart is another. People talk about the amount of money you gave him, $80 million, and what does he do? What you did was you got one of the best friends of the star of your team. But aside from that, he does a lot of intangibles that don't flash up, and it may not be every game. He does need to produce a little bit more. But while we're winning, he can afford to figure that out. Because when we play games that really matter, does he show up? And at that point, we can criticize when the season is over and then we look back on the full body of work and say, what have you done? That's when you can criticize. You ain't doing it on the fly. These players go out here from game to game. You don't know what injuries they're battling. So Josh Hart was one of those signings. Brunson was one of the signings. OG Anunoby's a signing. Dante's a signing. Leon is doing his thing. Leon is doing his thing. But truly, truly proud of Isaiah Hartenstein. 12 points, 20 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals. A leader in almost every statistical category since 2024 has started. Shout out to the Red Bulls. Shout out to our center, Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, who is the dollar slice of the game? The dollar slice is representative of stability here in New York because it's been the greatest pizza forever. Okay? So the dollar slice in this game is going to go to Julius Randle, my boy Julius Randle. Now, aside from the fact that I really hope that he would have been more of a tone setter for this game, to be able to set the standard and let the rest of the team know you can't play around with these players who aren't accustomed to be on the floor with the same level of play as we are. Okay, aside from his inability to do that, the man still consistently does what he do, just like New York Pizza. He performs at a high level, 24 points, 5 assists, 11 rebounds. Julius Randle, his stabilizing production provided that baseline for us to be able to secure this victory. So shout out to Julius. I'm not going to do any more than that. Go out and vote for this man. Voting counts 3 times tomorrow. So if you vote 1 time, you don't have to vote 3 times tomorrow, but you submit 1 vote for Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and it counts 3 times. Okay? But today, do so as well. Vote for this man to be in the All-Star game. Congratulations to us all for getting him on the board. Now let's push him up as much as possible. Okay? So shout out for the dollar slice of the game, Julius Randle. Now, who is the chopped cheese of the game? The chopped cheese of the game, chopped cheese in terms of New York is relatively new, but that thing be busting. So who is the chopped cheese of the game? Chopped cheese of the game today goes to the salmon chopped cheese, goes to Malachi Flynn. Salmon, red, Malachi Flynn. Anyway, Malachi Flynn. Round of applause for our guy, Malachi Flynn. It was good to see him get a few minutes. Him getting minutes in this game symbolized the fact that all of the Toronto players had a chance to get burned in this game. And that's dope because when you make a trade, sometimes all players don't get an opportunity to perform. Some just feel like they're throw-ins. So the fact that we had Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, as well as OG Anunoby getting some burn, and a couple of times Malachi Flynn connected with OG Anunoby on baskets was dope to see. So Malachi Flynn gets the chopped cheese of the game. He had a tune of 9 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, and a steal. Some things that stood out about Malachi Flynn, he was integral in helping us get this victory. That combination of him and Deuce McBride at the point guard really allowed for us to be able to withstand the storm of not having Jalen Brunson today or during the game. So his game, a couple of things that I really noticed and I love to see, that he's fast, that he varies his speed levels within the game, which makes him a tough cover. He attacks the basket on drives. And those are some things that we absolutely needed in order to secure this victory last night, So shout out to our chopped cheese of the game, Malachi Flynn. I hope this does allow us to let Brunson get some time to heal up whatever injuries he has by giving Deuce and Malachi Flynn some opportunity to run the point, and that we're able to survive that. We have a big game that's coming up on Dr. King's birthday. Shout out to Dr. King. We really, really appreciate everything that you've done for this country, so we celebrate him, tomorrow and his legacy and his memory and his efforts for this country. So the game, I'm not sure who we play. I think we play Orlando, so that also would be a good game. They got some good point guards over there, so we don't want to sleep. We want to have our best. And I think Jalen Brunson will show up because he know that there are impressive point guards on the other side of the floor. But if not, I'm kind of confident in that Deuce McBride and Malachi Flynn will put their best foot forward and try to help us get this victory. So round of applause for Malachi Flynn. Chopped cheese, the salmon chopped cheese of the game here in Nix Deli. Next thing on the menu is the quarter water. So the quarter water represents who contributed a little bit in a quarter or a little bit over a period of quarters to help us secure this victory. And the quarter water is a little bit unorthodox for me today. And it goes to Tom Thibodeau. Round of applause for our coach, Tom Thibodeau. And I don't want to stretch this out too long. Tom Thibodeau got his career 500th victory with this win last night. And I really wanted to take an opportunity to appreciate our coach. A lot of criticism. You know, anytime you're doing anything worth doing, you're going to always have critics. And I just remember when we were considering bringing him to New York, the fact that everybody was poo-pooing all the different coaches that we hired in the past. And everybody had a suggestion for who we should hire. But the New York Knicks decided to go to the beat of their own drum as usual. And they hired Tom Thibodeau. And a lot of people talked about the fact that nobody will want to play for Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau injures his players because they play him. He plays them too much. He's a grinder. He's antiquated. He is not the type of player that NBA players will want to play for. And then the New York Knicks had to take a different route because that was proven to be true. And the main people who were at the forefront of the line leading that narrative was LeBron James and all of his crew and Clutch. And since this new generation really look up and follow LeBron James, they were believing that. So the New York Knicks had to be untraditional in the way they got their players. They got them through the draft. They got young players with talent. Many of them was raw, and they had to develop them. And he had to cultivate them and create a culture from within. And as they began drafting and adding pieces to that, they started to see those players had good character, had great personality, believed in what Tom Thibodeau was selling, and they began to find success with that group of players. And the more they had cohesion and kept that group together, they got cohesive, they had success, they started to create an identity, they started to speak affectionately about their coach, it started to result in wins. And not only did it result in wins, it showed those players started to look marketable. You had a player like IQ, who was effervescent in his joy, hitting big time shots, had to shake, celebration. There was a vibe around that, so we wish IQ, all those players, we wish the best. You had Mitch, who they brought in, as a raw offensive talent, but he showed talent defensively. And they were able to secure him and develop him, turn into one of the best rebounding and absolute best offensive rebounding players in the game, and the anchor of their defense. And then you add a player like Julius to that mix. Then you add a player like Jalen Brunson to that mix. And now we're here. And now there are stars who want to be traded to New York, such as Donovan Mitchell. Other stars who are looking like, I could see me being there. Okay? And this is all under the reign of a Tom Thibodeau, who believes that the magic is in the work. So I wanted to take this opportunity to give Tom Thibodeau a shout out. With his 500 career victory, he's also creeping up on Red Holtzman as being one of the winningest coaches. I think he just passed Huey Brown as one of the winningest coaches in Knicks history. And he's in the 4th year of his 5-year contract. So the New York Knicks have bested themselves by not switching up, maybe at the point of providing an extension for their coach and really establishing themselves as a sound, competent, successful organization. So shout out goes to our quarter water of the game, Tom Thibodeau. Someone who really recognizes and understands what it is that we need versus what it is that we want in terms of our team. So shout out to him. My you wildin' moment of the game goes to myself. Okay, I'm watching the game last night and they're showing flashes of Malachi Flynn. And I'm like, man, where have I seen? Everybody keeps calling him the evil Dante, and I could see that. But this other person, he looks like somebody else. And then I was just like, no. And then I had to find this picture, and then this is what I thought. Take a look. And the moment I saw that and decided to put that picture up, I had to give myself the nah, son, nah, you wildin' moment of the game. So the nah, son, nah, you wildin' moment of the game goes to your boy Sheer. You wildin'. I know. Glizzy of the game has to go to the source for New York basketball, who is on Twitter, of somebody who said, it's an inside source that says New York got rid of all their softies, Obi, IQ, and RJ, and now they have a hard-nosed defensive basketball team with all of the players they have on a team right now. So the glizzy of the game goes to that person, whoever that is. Let me give you a moment. You know what? It's statements like that riles up the New York Knicks fans and continues to deepen the wedge that divides much in the fan base, because it pokes at the emotion of those fans who love those players, and it makes it tougher for those fans who want to root for the players that we have in the current team, the current iteration of the team that we have right now. Fact of the matter is you can absolutely celebrate what we see in this organization now and not put down players who used to be here. The same thing applies to Hartenstein and Mitch. The same thing applies. So everybody is continuing to, we got to stop. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know what it is, but it has to stop. So the glizzy of the game goes to whoever that was, that source that New York basketball has that said, New York Knicks got rid of that softy of, Obi, and stop it. This is what you do. Apparently you're hungry. So that's it. I just need you to pick that thing up. Yeah, put some, whatever. Have a good grip and enjoy. Keep going. All right, you finished? Good. Let's see the game. Goes to whoever said that. All right? And I want to give my parting thoughts. We're at the end once again. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I need you to know when I'm dropping these videos because my schedule is a little bit on and off, but I'm being more consistent, okay? New York Knicks, we're hoping to get another victory tomorrow night in Orlando. So we're hoping to get that victory. I think it may be at either noon or 3, but whenever it is, we're hoping to get that victory. I just love it. I love the direction our team is going in. Some people I talked to, in terms of our 6-game win streak that we were hoping for that got snapped, they were just like, oh yeah, I don't know if you really thought that was the team. Listen, it wasn't about us feeling like, we were, that 6-game win streak defined who we are. It wasn't about that. It showed us a glimpse of who we can be. So it's not about us thinking, okay, we're the best team in the East. No, it was about us seeing the potential of who we can be if we continue to put in the work. Now that we have OG as part of the roster, it was a very short window, very small sample, showing us of who we could be as a team by the time we hit our stride in the playoffs, if everything works for our favor and we stay healthy. That's what that was about. So all of you people talking about Knicks fans are delusional and they thought that we were going to go undefeated for the next part of, enjoy your jokes. We understand what you're doing. But understand that we're more sophisticated than that when we thinking out in terms of our thinking and where we see our team going. We know that showed the potential for who we can be by the time we hit our stride and get to the playoffs. All right? Keep that in mind for you people who, want to call us delusional so quick. All right? And I think that is all that I have. So I will let you, no, one more thing. Those people who talk about the bench struggles, and the fact that the moves that we made, has put us in a position where our bench is so thin now. We really gotta get a move to power our bench. Let Tom Thibodeau work, please. Let Tom Thibodeau work. The same people would have been calling for Spoelstra's job, damn near every day, until he's able to develop somebody like Gabe Vincent. All right, and those no-name players that once he developed them and let them work and let them get their reps, they show up and they show out in big time spots in the playoffs. This team on the bench is struggling now because the starter is out. Their main bench player moved to the starting lineup in Hartenstein, where we had IQ and traded him off. You know, he was one of the leaders of the terror squad coming off of the bench. Those players were together for so many years. We kept them and they were cohesive and we developed them. They went through the highs, they went through the lows. And they found this bond that helped them know each other's game. And that's what brings that collective, continuity that we see on the floor that made us not only, a strong team, but have one of the strongest second units in the league. When you disrupt that, it takes time to gain that cohesion back, which is why we made the move so early, which gives us enough time between now and the end of the season to develop that cohesiveness. Be patient. Be patient. These players are figuring out each other's game. Who's left? Who from the starting unit is going to be added to the bench unit in second halves of games or the closeout games? Who's the new closing group? All of these things have to be figured out. But y'all want to sit there and criticize the coach. Y'all want to talk about what additional moves need to be made. You don't understand the full picture. You don't understand the process. Trust the process. And with that, I say, keep this in mind, that the spirit of Dr. King and everything that he's contributed to this country, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. But remember this, if it's out in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here in Nix Deli, friend or foe, everybody eats. Good luck to your teams. Have fun watching football. Stay safe. I'm Shia. Peace. I'm out.